A deal on Dickens, who could resist? A stack of Austen, warmly kissed. Golden Age crime tales twist and turn, every page a treasure to learn. Books keep coming home with me, piles so tall they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea, reading always feels so free.
There we go, we're live. Okay, so our second tag for the day, the first one is on Mom's channel. Oh, first of all, hi, my name is Talia. Welcome to Talia Nerds Out.
I am Marlecia, also from, known as Marlecia Muses, from Marlecia's Meanderings.
And our first book tag that we recorded today will be on her channel. But this one here is our TBRs Fun book tag. And I first saw this on Bookzealot's channel, but the creator is apparently The Great Literary Rabbit Hole, who I also follow.
I
think I picked her up because of this tag.
Okay, I might need to look her up. I keep saying I'm not going to pick up any more people.
Well, because I'll pick up people, and then if they continue to be like, oh yeah, I really enjoy this content, then I'll keep them, but I might drop other people. Mm-hmm. Or I've done where I picked up, dropped, mm-hmm. based off of my mood, which probably is really annoying for the creator, but
I'm sure they do it as well.
But okay. And so the first question is, how many books are currently or normally on your TBR? So that one, the sky's the limit. Now, there's long-term TBR, which there's no limit. Like, anything on my shelf is a TBR, pretty much, including rereads. But for, like, a limited TBR, I will start off, like, really well. Like, I had, at the beginning of the year, I had the whole year marked out with, like, what books, and I tried to do, like, I was like, okay, I'll only do, like, 1 or 2 for each read-along for each month. That didn't happen, and I ended up doing things that were not on that list. So I was aiming for, I think I had, like, a goal of, like, I had 5 or 6 books set for during the month, but things, like, happened. And not all of them were anticipated finished. Some of them were supposed to go into the other parts of the quarter. So, yeah. I usually have a TBR goal to finish a certain number of books during the month, but as for my TBR, yeah, I'll write it down, and I'm not always good about keeping to it. It changes. It's fluid.
Fluid. I don't usually have a TBR until now. And as I said on one other video, I blame the people who are doing the June on the Range and the summer big book summer and the Inklings one, because that's 3 read-alongs, and I need to have a list for that. Apparently, I have 2 that I'm actively reading and several that I have on the list just in case.
Now that's a good example. Okay, so using this month, I have definite 2 for the Inklings, possibly more. Mm-hmm. And I actually decreased it from what I had before because I ended up grabbing bigger books than I had initially. Then I have 3, I think I had, no, 4. For at least 4 for the 5 for June on the Range, including the one that's going to travel over Big Book Summer, which is the folklore. Then I have a light TBR for the summer for book trek of, like, I think I have like 4 or 5 books for that.
See, I'm not doing it that far in advance. I'm surprised I have a TBR at all. Mm-hmm. I have
Big Book Summer, I think I had 4 or 5 as well.
Think to be honest, I didn't intend to do Big Book Summer until I looked at my Virginian. I had said by mistake on my video that it wasn't 400 or more. It's 465 pages. So that does count for Big Book Summer. And the Inklings counts for Big Book Summer. So those are both being double duty. Mm-hmm. And then I have...
That's usually what happens to me for Big Book Summer. It's a double duty.
And then I have other books that I want to read. You know, I have a short story collection. I think it's being processed, or I might even have a short story for the Westerns that I already picked up.
It's on back order, and it's your Western short stories that include The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
But I think I have another one too.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and then I have a fantasy book that works for Big Book Summer. That all of a sudden is like, oh yeah, this might work. I can read this, and I have with the Inklings, with my Inkling adjacent, and they Luminous Libra, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was so sweet to answer my question right away, which was, is Chesterton, G.K. Chesterton, considered an adjacent to the Inklings with the influence on Chesterton, not Chesterton, on Lewis, that he liked him so much? And she said, yes. So that adds my Father Brown mysteries. And I've got Dorothy Sayers.
I'll have to see how much Ronald Knox, because they were doing comparison with him and Lewis. And I had to see what their connection was, because I know they even mentioned him briefly in the Inklings book. When they were mentioning the Catholic, or the people who were at, I think it was at Oxford, who became Catholic, or who were, because they mentioned Newman, they mentioned Ronald Knox.
I haven't gotten that far
That was
yet.
early.
I haven't gotten that far yet.
If you've gotten as far as where I was talking about...
I told you I hadn't gotten that far yet.
Tolkien and the Word?
I've got...
Cellar Door?
Oh, yeah, I got there, yeah.
It was before Cellar Door.
Okay, yeah. Cellar Door was good. But yeah, I guess like Talia, my TBR, my bookshelf, I just don't have it fixed. It's
I think I'm a little bit more planned ahead than you are, simply because I try to... My goal this year is to plan out my year so I didn't do the thing where I overloaded myself, because it still hasn't worked.
No, I can plan all I want to, just like I do with my craft projects. And
they're more like guidelines.
Yeah, very soft guidelines. It's like, oh, look at that. I want that. Yes, I want
it was supposed to try to curb some that look at that. I want that.
No.
But
okay.
How do you choose TBR books? And have you ever gamified your TBR, e.g., prompt jars, TBR games? No prompt games. No, I don't need help convincing myself to go through my TBR. If I want to read it, I'll read it. If I don't want to read it at that time, I won't read it.
Right. I mean, I might use a reward system. Like, if I read, I'm trying to figure out how this works exactly. If I do X amount of duties or whatever, then I can read.
You use the book as a reward.
Yeah, I'm a teacher. So
what they're talking about, though, is like if you gamified it as in like you pull out, okay, I need to, well, actually, probably a good example is the bingo card. I know
or the lady who, I don't know if this is Luminous Libra or someone else who pulls the books.
That's Luminous Libra, who they're wrapped. So like things like that, where I like to. Now, to be fair about the bingo one, it has prompts, but it's not like it's. I guess that still counts as a game because.
Oh yeah, it's bingo.
Yeah, I know that I've had Vicky say a couple times that she wishes that I was doing it. I don't know. That seems so overwhelming to me.
I also don't like to have to read a certain thing. I just want to read.
And I know it tries to be fairly general, but I like a very wide, and I don't want to feel stressed to cover prompts.
Yeah, I don't. That's one of the reasons I don't do like your Historathon and stuff, because
Historathon is very general, and it's over a quarter.
I don't care.
And I've been very, very light about this year, where I read whatever I want, but as long as I have like one that fits in the quarter, at one point in the quarter, I'm cool. Like, I didn't read nearly as much medieval history this year as I did last year, because I was reading other things at the same time. They're from different eras. But I still had that aspect of the Historathon. Okay, so do you have, number 3, do you have reading areas of focus to choose books for? If yes, how many? So I do a lot of, honestly, my main areas that do tend to be history. Now, I've been focusing a lot on rounding out my folklore collection. But whereas I have certain fiction books here and there, tend to be classics usually when I pick up fiction. Or classic mysteries in particular. But a lot of mine do seem to be history.
For me, religion, faith-related type things, and classics, especially classic mysteries and classic fantasy. Not so much the fantasy right now. And lately, my focus has been Westerns, classic Westerns. I don't think I'd like necessarily the newer Westerns. I think they probably have things in it that I don't want to read about. But
well, Westerns are a very wide genre insofar as like you'll have subsections of Westerns.
If somebody I trust their judgment tells me that it will be a good Western for me to read, I will consider looking at it because I am looking for more Westerns to read. But I don't want things that have stuff in it. I don't want language. And I know that a lot of the modern stuff will have that, and I don't want that. That's why I'm sticking toward things like the I can't remember his name. Owen Wister.
Owen Wister. I'm actually not sure how it's pronounced. Owen Wister. Owen Wister.
And I haven't yet read Timothy Zane Grey or
Louis L'Amour
yet. And there's another one, a big name that I can't remember off the top of my head. I haven't read them yet. Max Brandt. I haven't read those yet, so I don't know if those are going to be okay for me to read. But right now, I'm seeming to pick up Westerns.
I read Louis L'Amour in the past. I read Zane Grey in the past, and I read those in high school, I believe. I don't remember there being anything wrong with them.
So I'll probably look into those as well.
I'm sure I read Max Brand. I know I started Max Brand, but I was annoyed because I didn't realize that Destry Rise Again, it's completely different than the movie, that they wouldn't have the same characters. They just shared the title.
That wasn't the author's fault.
That wasn't the author's fault. But because I went in with a certain expectation and I didn't realize that. Now I know that going in. And when I read Destry Rides Again, I'll look at it from that aspect. That was the movie maker's fault that they stole a title from a different from a book, and they chose not to go with the plot.
Right.
Or even the same character. But let's see. So number 4, does a TBR help you focus? Yeah. It does.
It does, sort of, because like I said, mine is extremely fluid. It can be influenced by read-alongs, booktuber type things. Talia says, "Oh, Mom, let's do this." And everything else goes whoosh. So it does help me a little bit. It's helped me, like this year, I'm looking at my story graph, and I'm about half and half for fiction and nonfiction, which is unusual for me. And I am very heavy right now on religion, classics, and mysteries. Where no fantasies. Absolutely doesn't even make the list this year. If you go back a couple of years, it's almost all fantasy in my fiction. So yeah, the TBRs do help me to focus a little bit, but
I actually run my year by TBR. But what I mean by that is I use Historathon to structure my year. So I'm like, okay, it's like a lesson plan almost. Now I have more freedom within the lesson plan. It's more like a homeschooling lesson plan, and a very fluid homeschooling lesson plan at that.
Not one of my lesson plans.
No, not one of your lesson plans. But it's got structure and gives me a level of structure to my reading, which I appreciate. Even if it's just a matter of this general time period of history, read something in it. And when you're looking at time periods, I mean like prehistory to 500 AD. That's a pretty wide period. Then 500 to 1500, 1500 to 1820, 1820 to present day.
Right.
Those are huge chunks of time. You can usually find something in that era that you can read. Most people don't absolutely hate. I have heard people say that they don't like prehistory or like ancient history.
There's a lot of stuff in there.
There's a lot in there. I go a lot of the religious history there. I think there is a lot there, but that isn't everyone's cup of tea. Some people don't like medieval history.
I love medieval history.
I can usually find something in each era of history that I enjoy.
Do they consider the Fertile Crescent and all that prehistory?
What era? What time period? Because the Fertile Crescent is an area of the world.
No, I know. When they were,
Because if it's counted, you'd have to look at the book in question and see what era the book in question covered. Because Fertile Crescent is an area of the world. You can't just say Fertile Crescent.
But it wasn't. It was active at a certain time.
Yeah, you'd have to see when the book said it was active. Because
I don't remember that far back. I mean, it's stuck in my head, but I think I learned it in grammar school.
and there's some books that cover a wider period of time, so you can have it like cover the whole. Like I had that book on the history of medicine and religion that broke it into eras, which was really nice. And I just read it in each era.
I would like to know what they consider to be prehistory. What the is it
anything like anything up until 500 AD.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, anything up to 500 AD.
Okay.
So
Bible,
people did dinosaurs.
Bible could be.
Oh, well, that's why I've done things that have to do with. I've done things that have had to do with. Well, I did something on Monica this past quarter. But I mean, like I did. I haven't finished yet the forensic study of the crucifixion.
Right.
I read something that was going through the ancients talking about crucifixion in general. So you had quotes from
we got things like Aristotle,
Cicero,
Plato, and all that,
and things like that. So it's like I read something. It was a murder trial from ancient Greece. I did that.
You see, I find all that fascinating.
I have a couple Cicero's trials that he because he was a lawyer. I just haven't read it yet.
I find the ancient stuff, ancient Japan, ancient China, all that stuff, Egypt, that kind of stuff, very interesting.
Okay, so all right, I think that was 4. So 5. Do you suffer from the book noise of a TBR? I'm not sure what that means.
I think it means like distractions. Like I know that when I heard,
or if you get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like that. Like having always something in the background. I think that's the way I kind of took it. Like you're trying to focus on one thing, and then the next thing pops up, or that's waiting in the wings or whatever. I'm not sure what that means. I know Arian was asking about that when she did this tag, and it's.
I don't suffer anything from my TBR. TBR, my friend.
I don't have a TBR. That is.
I have a literal typed out TBR.
I don't have anything scheduled.
Now I do update my TBR.
I don't have anything structured enough to do that because I have a family to take care of, and I have chores, and I have crafts, and I have a yarn store that I haven't updated in like a year and a half. So I have a lot going on, and I can't have a TBR that's structured. So no,
Well, TBR could be like, I want to read this one book this month, and that is your TBR. And if you add more things, that's cool. It doesn't have to be covering like all the books you're going to possibly read. I've read things that never made it to the TBR, but my goal was to read at least these books.
If you look at it that way, I have a TBR for all my faith books. I have Bible studies I want to do. We have our books that we read together. Our TBR, a lot of my TBRs are collaborations with Talia.
Yeah, because and we've mentioned this in previous videos, that we actually have something we set up on Storygraph where we keep track of the books that we say we're going to read together. I think I still need to add a couple of books to that. We're never going to finish all the books on there.
We keep adding on to them.
Because we keep adding on, so we're never going to get to like even 1%.
That's our TBR.
And what we do with some of them, we read together, like
actually in the same room.
Some of them we read on schedule together. Some of them we're just going to be like, hey, I'm reading this. You going to read this too? Cool. We just want to make sure both of us get to experience the book. But twice a week we literally read a book together. We'll take sections of the chapter, or sometimes if the chapters are short enough, it'll be more than a chapter. We'll break it up. She reads part, I read part, and then we discuss. Sometimes we stop and discuss during.
Most of the time we stop and discuss during. Because neither one of us is very good at waiting.
And then something that we've taken to, because I have the annotated version of the Austins, that's actually coming very much in handy. So we'll currently read Mansfield Park. We'll read Mansfield Park, and then we'll be like, okay, we don't know about this. Put a pin in it. We'll be reading the annotated notes after this. And then we'll go through and I'll read the annotated notes aloud.
We were scratching our head because we're reading something in Austin, and they talked about a ha-ha. And it's like, okay, I need to know what
And I kept reading the notes, and she's like, what about the ha-ha? I'm like, we're not there yet.
But I want to know what the ha-ha is. It was just so strange. And you can look it up. It's in the dictionary.
Yeah, it's just, and some things like the terms changed. Like, for example, you wouldn't say someone was knocked up, but they did anymore.
Not like that.
Not like they intended it. It just, the figures of speech have changed. So we have actually made a lot of use of that, but so no, we do not suffer from book noise. That really had nothing to do with it.
This is the way we roll.
Okay, so 6. Do you give your TBR a time limit, and does a TBR make you stress out about reading quick enough?
I think the first time we did it, we had some of that, but we just learned how to.
Yeah. I know towards the end of a quarter, it's almost like when I'm at the end of the school quarter, and if I have set myself that I need to at least finish this book, I will devote all my time to that book because I don't necessarily want to carry it over, especially if I have other things I know I'm going to want to read that quarter. Now, sometimes it means that I will drop other books for the next quarter, but I think usually for the end of each quarter of Historathon, I'll have something that I dawdled or I got distracted by other shinies, and then all of a sudden I'm way behind. Or like what happened last quarter, I hadn't intended to read like 4 of the books.
Yeah.
And no more than that. And I ended up like rushing towards the end to finish The Eagle and the Heart. Is that the only one I was rushing to finish? Yeah, because I think I managed to finish From England to France in a decent amount of time. But yeah, I had at least 5 books I added on that quarter. I did a lot that quarter. That I just, that by the end I was kind of rushing.
Yeah,
And some of the books I was like, I'm not going to read it this quarter. It's just not going to happen.
I was going to say something, but you went too long, so I don't remember what it was. Because I have an old person's brain.
Mea culpa, mea maxima culpa.
No, it's okay. I don't usually like to set a limit for my time. I know what I was going to say. Agatha Christie.
Oh, well, yeah, of course. Christie's missing.
Advent is when Christie's missing starts. It was like 1 week and what?
I think it's a little bit more than a week. I think it might be 2 weeks.
And I think I put everything aside except for my devotional and read. Kindle, audio.
We were on separate teams, weren't we?
No.
Were we on the same team?
We were on the same team. I was not going to go on anybody but that particular Poirot.
No, I wasn't on Poirot's team.
You weren't on Poirot? Who were you on?
I was...
I could have sworn.
I never go on Poirot's team because he always has a lot of people on his team.
No, I'm sorry. I went on Ariadne Oliver. That's who I went on to.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I went on Ariadne Oliver.
I don't know if I was on her team.
Because, yes, you were. I'm pretty sure you were. Because I remember us being on the same team.
Because there was Ariadne Oliver.
Poirot wasn't on there.
They didn't have Superintendent Battle this year. Because
no.
I was, the previous year I was on Team Superintendent Battle.
They didn't have Poirot because I probably would have done
There
Poirot.
was the mysterious Mr. Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure you weren't on his team?
No, they didn't have Mr. Quinn because I would
Maybe
have
it was maybe it was the year prior. I want to say they had Parker Pine.
Yes, they had Parker Pine. They had Ariadne Oliver. That's when I was on. And
they always had Poirot, I want to say.
I didn't think Poirot was on there because I would have been on his.
I know he was the previous year.
Yeah, They have Tommy Tuppence?
Tommy Tuppence were the previous year. I don't know if they.
I don't know. But my point is, I dropped everything to do Agatha Christie to the point where I almost didn't get my religious stuff.
I'm just gonna.
No, I've got things going on there.
You don't have anything on.
Yes,
it won't change anything. It won't change anything. It will still go. Because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up your Discord just because I'm really curious. Yeah, because it's. And actually, I'm gonna have to hit again anyway because it looks like sometimes that'll happen where. You see that little thing? It's gonna need to try again.
Oh.
So
why?
Sometimes it just happens when it's long. Sometimes it needs to be plugged in. Sometimes it needs to be restarted. Well, to come back later and convince it to, or you ran out of space. So maybe you need to delete some things off.
The only thing I have is that one video
on the cloud.
I don't have.
On your Google photos. Okay, we'll take a look at it later. I've had it happen where sometimes I just need to. Even sometimes I'll have to restart my phone sometimes. Just kind of convince it. No, I want this to load. But I want to pull up your Discord. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Because you're in the Christie's Missing and we can see. Okay, so the this would be 2024. And let's go up to the top because that'll tell us the teams. Actually, no, at the end, they probably went through how many for each group because they would have said who. That's general chat.
We can do this later.
Yeah, I guess so. But I want to now.
But they're going to get bored.
Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, because it looks like this is just general stuff.
Here, give it to me. You keep doing it.
Okay, it's either going to be under general or 2024. Oops, you closed 2024. So it's somewhere in the 2024 general chat. It might be up at the top. Because I know last year the year before I superintendent battle. I didn't think I did Ariadne Oliver, but
Maybe you didn't. I don't know.
because I could have sworn we were on separate teams.
I didn't think we were, but I don't know. I can't remember that far back.
Okay, so, well, we covered both of our things about stressing and all that. Okay, 7. Do you have rebellion syndrome, not wanting to read a book because you put it on your TBR and now you failed to read it? I made the TBR. I kind of agree with Ariane for this one. Like, why would I rebel about something I created?
No, I don't rebel about something I put on my own TBR. Where I might have something is more like everybody's reading it, then I might perversely not want to read it just because everybody's reading it. But if I put a book on the list, no, not unless I felt like I was pressured to put it on the list because everybody was reading it.
Right.
If I put it on the list, no, I don't think so.
You're right, Mama. I was Team Ariadne Oliver. Okay. I don't know what the other teams were, but I was Team Ariadne Oliver. So, I do know at least there's Parker Pine and
You think there'd be something in here?
Yeah, it's probably at the very top.
Yeah. Go ahead and ask this.
So okay, let's see. Rebellion syndrome. So we both said no. We created the TBR, and because we have no problems like adjusting it, we aren't gonna be like it's on the TBR. I can't read that. Okay, 8. Do you keep books on your TBR until they're read, or swap the TBR around regularly? Well, they're always gonna be on the TBR. Just they might not be on the immediate TBR anymore.
Colonel Race.
Oh, there we go.
Ariadne Oliver, Colonel Race, Parker Pine. I can't see anybody else. So
yeah, well, I know one of the teams only had like one person in it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. It was. I don't want to do that other thing here.
So yeah, I think that took care of it. It was. I think that maybe the team that had if there was another team, they might have had only the one person. Maybe they didn't get to read enough to be on the scoreboard still.
So. Rebellion. Okay, now we put blah, blah, blah.
So yeah. The number 8, Mom.
Do you because my TBR is so fluid, I don't know if there's no permanent order. The only ones that are different are my faith books. Like I'll say, okay, I want to do this for Advent. I want to do this for this summer read. Like, okay, for example, I have a book I showed in my last haul. No, it wasn't my last haul. It was the Big Book Summer and all the other read-alongs. And I showed the big books and everything. And for Inklings, I showed a Bible study on John. Mm-hmm. Well, right now, I'm too busy with other books to read, so I'm finishing up my Padre Pio one. Mm-hmm. So it got moved back.
Right.
And that will happen. I do have that happening because that is my only real TBR of any kind of note. So yeah, that'll happen occasionally.
Let's see. 9. Have you ever killed a book by having it on your TBR too long? No, having something on my TBR too long. No. I honestly, because if you can hear Davina in the background, so you can be a little loud sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah. I don't think I really killed one for having it on my TBRs too long. The closest thing I can think of is when I lost some interest in the current royals, and there were a couple books I ended up getting rid of.
Right.
Because my interest changed.
It wasn't a conscious decision that I don't want to read this anymore.
Right, exactly. My interest changed, but it doesn't happen a whole lot. Because usually I'm pretty good at gauging my interest level where it's not going to kill the book to be on my TBR too long. Because my interest is going to be there when I eventually get to it. Okay. 9. Oh, did you answer 9 yourself?
I don't think I kind of touched on it, but I didn't really. I don't think I've ever killed a book by having it on my TBR too long. Unless you count my bookshelves as TBR. I did have I've had series of books where I decided, okay, you know what? I've had this here. I think that given what I know now about my tastes and stuff, I don't think this would be a good fit, and so I would toss it. Mm-hmm. But I don't do it very often.
And definitely not something that I have like in a hard and set TBR. Okay, so number 10. Do you have a tick/checklist for your TBR to check off books as you read them? Yes!
No.
And I have them 2 different ways. One way is my one that's set up for each quarter throughout the year, and I will get to check it off as I go. The other way is I have it set up daily, where I check them off as I go.
I don't have time for that.
I love checking things
I can
off.
either read or check things off.
And I have to paste this still for the upcoming. There's my list for, and this list tends to be shorter for my daily ones because it's what will fit on the paper. But that also helps me focus in on these books because it's what fits on my paper. And then as I finish a book, it gets crossed off. And sometimes I'll write another book in its place, or sometimes I'm just whittling it down.
See, for me, that would be an exercise in frustration because I never know if I'm going to be able to sit down and read. I have family members who need me to do things. If I say I'm going to read X, Y, and Z book, I'm not always going to get to X, Y, and Z book, and I know myself that will frustrate me. So no thank you. No daily TBRs. I'll have a soft goal for the week. I'll have a soft goal for the day, but I'm not doing that. No.
I read like 2 pages of Shane. So I get to check off Westerns.
Okay.
I love checking things off. Always have. I used to be that person who, and actually I was pretty rare for my system. People used to comment on my system at work, where I would have sticky notes all over my cow, computer on wheels. They eventually tried to change it to wow, because cow is insensitive.
It's a cow.
It's a cow. I started calling them cows just because they wanted to call them wows. Because it was stupid. But
Rebellious.
it was dumb.
It was dumb.
But anyway, I would put my sticky notes all over, and each patient would have a sticky note with things that I could cross off and check off as I went. There were long goals, and then the shorter goals had smaller sticky notes that I can then pull up.
But see, that was related to your work. When I was homeschooling you, and I had homeschool and drama and choir.
Well,
and
you have
field
to
trip,
keep.
I had sticky notes and checklists and lesson plans and everything because if I didn't, calendars, everything.
Because my life would be so unstructured otherwise because of chronic illness, it's very easy to waste time. But if I want to at least read some book during the day. If I've gone through the day, I haven't read one book, then I need to hurry up and even if I get 2 pages down, I get to check that off.
Or page.
Yeah.
I would like to experiment a little bit because I know I have trouble wasting time on the computer or on the phone. And if I maybe do something that's even start out with a light schedule,
it doesn't have to be as now on there. I also have things like get on the exercise bike.
Yeah, well,
things like that.
To-do lists. I've done to-do lists, and I'll do it for maybe a week, and then I don't want to do it anymore. So I need to maybe get back into that because then maybe I stop going to websites more than 2 or 3 times a day. I usually when I like at Lent or whatever, I will say, okay, I can go in the morning, the afternoon, and the evening, and I shut off at 6:30 for the internet. That doesn't mean I can't like type papers or whatever. I think maybe I should do something like that all the time.
And I tried writing it out, but honestly, it's easier to, at the beginning of the month, I will type out for the month, and then I don't print all of them at one time. I will print like maybe a couple weeks and then paste those into the planner because something might change. And then I will change it in the thing that's in the computer and then print out.
Right.
But yeah, then I feel like I can also, then I decorate it. And that gives me a little bit more of an impetus.
And I want to decorate, but again, if I do decorating, I don't have time to read or I don't have time to dye yarn.
Well, because it's just like a couple stickers here and there. I don't do like my complex scrapbooking. No, this is just, I found some stickers I like. It makes it pretty. And it's fun.
And I have a scrapbook, but I have too many hobbies and not enough time. So
I know that I had to sit down and do my scrapbooking. And that is consistently something on there that I haven't been able to check off.
Okay, so
number 11. What one change do you think would help your TBR be more fun? Nothing's wrong with my TBR. My TBR is fun.
I just have to find if I'm going to do a TBR, I have to find the one that works for me, and it's going to probably have to be incorporated with my just like a to-do list, like a honey-do list, where I say, okay, this is what I do for the day here, this is what I do for the day here, and this is what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to sit there and go to XYZ place 5,000 times a day, to see if anybody's answered me.
Multiple TBRs make it. The more organized it is, the happier I am. So I have my daily TBR. I have my TBR that's associated with each month. I have my TBR marking, these are the alongs, and this is generally when I want to read for each along. I have one for the David McCullough read along, particularly, and when they're supposed to be checked off. It's just so happy when I get to check off of several lists at the same time. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't want to get that structured. I think I would probably blow a gasket.
I get so happy just doing a little check mark.
I like doing the check marks, but I don't need to have it micromanaged. I need.
But when you're micromanaging yourself, it's different.
No, I need to have more wiggle room than that. I can't. I can't.
Well, there's wiggle room within it.
No, that doesn't sound like it to me. It sounds like you've got every little minute scheduled. I can't do that.
Well, because I've removed things from it before, and then that one's no longer on there, and then if there's been enough changes, I've completely rewritten several months because my goal has changed. But it still allows me to check something off later.
I don't have to check things off physically.
It makes me happy.
I like to check things off. Maybe I should go back to getting my stars. My stars upon thars.
I have some stars.
I know I gave them to you.
I bought some too.
Yeah, I remember that. I have stickers.
I actually use my stars now to mark the back of bookmarks. They're magnetic bookmarks.
Yeah. I can get owl stickers.
Oh, yeah. I have knitting specific stickers, crocheting specific stickers, bunny specific. Some of them are bunny food, which I think are so cute. Some of them are just bunny. Yeah. Stickers.
Right.
Oh, book ones.
Books. T. Okay.
Well, a lot of times there'll be tea that'll show up with books.
Okay.
Sometimes coffee.
Ugh, no coffee.
Okay, so yes, I would not change anything to make my TBR more fun. My TBR is amazingly fun. It is the funnest. Most fun.
Okay, final conclusion. TBR is fun or not?
Very fun.
That is, for me, a question in progress. It's a QIP.
Yeah, this was one where I wasn't actually sure where you would come down. I was pretty sure that you don't like as structured as I do for your reading, that it might stress you out more. So I had a feeling that this might be where we diverged, where I'm more like, ooh, let's add more checklists. More.
Well, if I can find the right balance, because like I said, I was very much all through my school years, all through, homeschooling and all that kind of stuff, very much a checklist person. I just haven't found my balance right now.
Well, I think one of the big things is you have to give yourself permission that even though you have a checklist, you can DNF something off that checklist and completely change the checklist to fit your current.
Because I don't like it. I think that's some of the like Davina's autistic spectrum stuff. I don't like that. I don't want to change that. I feel like I should be doing that.
Because you wrote it down.
Because I wrote it down, it has to be done.
You see, that's not the way I see it. For me, it's just a way to kind of it's almost as it's a goal to move toward. It's something to spur me on. And then if I no longer want that goal, it can move off the checklist.
Yep. Well, we'll see. I am still thinking about it. That's a question in progress for me.
Okay, so what do you guys think about TBRs? Are you TBR peoples? Or are you not TBR peoples?
Team TBR, team
not TBR? Oh my gosh, it's so like young adult fiction era of Twilight and Hunger Games. Because for Twilight, I think it was Team Jacob or Team...
Oh, well, you completely forgot about Davina's Team Weird.
Well, yeah, but that's not like the team this, team that, like we just did with the TBR. Because with...
well, Team Normal and Team Weird.
But for, of course, for Hunger Games, it was Team Gale or Team PETA.
Team PETA, absolutely.
But yeah, so when you say like team this or team that, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so young adult fiction.
I don't think I was the only one saying it.
Oh, heck no. But that's what makes me think of. Alrighty, so I'm starting to crash a little bit. I think part of it is because I'm hungry.
Yeah, and I need to figure out what's going on with my download for the last one we did.
Yeah, well, I'll take a look at it for you. Okay, but thank you very much for joining us. Hope that you have a wonderful day, and we will see you for the next video.
God bless.
God bless. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Books keep coming home with me. Piles so tall, they're all I see. Turn a page and sail the sea. Reading always feels so free.